White Feather Media Production presents you the management stories. Hey friends, a man is getting into the shower just as his wife is finishing up her shower when the doorbell rings. The wife quickly wraps herself in a towel and runs downstairs. When she opens the door, there stands Bob, the next door neighbor. Before she says a word, Bob says, "I'll give you $800 to drop that towel." After thinking for a moment, the woman drops the towel and stands naked in front of Bob. After a few seconds, Bob hands her $800 and leaves. The woman wraps back up in the towel and goes back upstairs. When she gets to the bathroom, her husband asks, "Who was that?" "It was Bob, the next door neighbor," she replies. "Great," the husband says. "Did he say anything about the $800 he owes me?" Moral of the story: if you share critical information, pretending to credit and risk with your shareholders in time, you may be in a position to prevent avoidable exposure. Story 2: The Boss. A sales representative, an administration clerk, and the manager. They are walking to lunch when they find an antique oil lamp. They rub it, and a genie comes out. The genie says, "I'll give each one of you just one wish." Me first, says the administration clerk. "I wanted to be in the Bahamas driving a speedboat without a care in the world." Poof, she's gone. Me next, says the sales representative. "I wanted to be in Hawaii relaxing on the beach with my personal masseur, an endless supply of pina coladas and the love of my life." Poof, he's gone. "Okay, you're up," the genie says to the manager. The manager says, "I want those two back in the office after lunch." Moral of the story: always let your boss have the first say. Story 3: The Priest. A priest offered a lift to a nun. She got in and crossed her legs, forcing her gown to reveal a leg. The priest nearly had an accident. After controlling the car, he steadily slid his hand up her leg. The nun said, "Father, remember Slam 129?" The priest removed his hand, but changing gears, he let his hand slide up her leg again. The nun once again said, "Father, remember Slam 129?" The priest apologized. "Sorry, sister, but the flesh is weak." Arriving at the convent, the nun went on her way. On his arrival at the church, the priest rushed to look up Psalm 129. It said, "Go forth and seek further up. You will find glory." Moral of the story: if you are not well informed in your job, you might miss a great opportunity. Story 4: The Crow and the Rabbit. A crow was sitting on a tree, doing nothing all day. A rabbit asked him, "Can I also sit like you and do nothing all day long?" The crow answered, "Sure, why not?" So the rabbit sat on the ground below the crow and rested. A fox jumped on the rabbit and ate it. The moral of the story: to be sitting and doing nothing, you must be sitting very high up. Story 5: The Power of Charisma. A turkey was chatting with a bull. "I would love to be able to get to the top of that tree," said the turkey, "but I haven't got the energy." "Well, why don't you nibble on my droppings?" replied the bull. "They are packed with nutrients." The turkey picked at a lump of dung and found that it gave him enough strength to reach the lowest branch of the tree. The next day, after eating some more dung, he reached the second branch. Finally, after a fortnight, there he was proudly perched at the top of the tree. Soon he was spotted by a farmer who shot the turkey out of the tree. Moral of the story: bullshit might get you to the top, but it won't keep you there. Story 6: The Bird. A little bird was flying south for the winter. It was so cold, the bird froze and fell to the ground into a large field. Well, he was lying there, a cow came by and dropped some dung on him. As the frozen bird lay there in the pile of cow dung, he began to realize how warm he was. The dung was actually thawing him out. He lay there all warm and happy, and soon began to sing for joy. A passing cat heard the bird singing and came to investigate. Following the sound, the cat discovered the bird under the pile of cow dung and promptly dug him out and ate him. Moral of the story: not everyone who shits on you is your enemy. Not everyone who gets you out of shit is your friend. And the last one: and when you are in deep shit, it's best to keep your mouth shut. Story 7, Jar and Golf Balls. A professor stood before his philosophy class and had some items in front of him. When the class began, he wordlessly picked up a very large and empty jam jar and proceeded to fill it with golf balls. He then asked the student if the jar was full. They agreed that it was. The professor then picked up a box of pebbles and poured them into the jar. He shook the jar lightly. The pebbles rolled into the open areas between the golf balls. He then asked the student again if the jar was full. They agreed it was. The professor next picked up a box of sand and poured it into the jar. Of course, the sand filled up everything else. He asked once more if the jar was full. The student responded with an anonymous yes. The professor then produced two beers from under the table and poured the entire content into the jar, effectively filling the empty space between the stand. The student laughed. Ha ha ha. Now, said the professor, as the laughter subsided, I want you to recognize that this jar represents your life. The golf balls are the important things: your family, your children, your health, your friends, and your favorite passion. And if everything else was lost and only they remain, your life will still be full. The pebbles are the other things that matters, like your job, your house, and your car. The sand is everything else, the small stuff. If you put the sand into the jar first, he continued, there is no room for one of the pebbles or the golf balls. The same goes for life. If you spend all your time and energy on the small stuff, you will never have room for the other things that are important to your life. Pay attention to the things that are critical to your happiness. Spend time with your children, spend time with your parents, visit with grandparents, take your spouse out to dinner, play another 18. There will always be time to clean the house and mow the lawn. Take care of the golf ball first, the things that really matter. Set your priorities, the rest is just sand. One of the students raised her hand and inquired what the beer represented. The professor smiled and said, I'm glad you asked. The beer just shows you that no matter how full your life may seem, there is always room for a couple of beers with a friend. Thank you friends for watching the video. If you like the video, share it with your friends and let us know how it was in the comment box given below. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos like this.